you have to start storytelling. You have to start to be entertaining, to embrace your customers and to really entertain them.
At some point, in my opinion, it becomes almost inevitable that where you socialize is also where you buy.
If you want to sell in future, you have to be on one level with your customers.
It does something with you. It does something with your mentality that, hey, we don't have to stick with the old ways. We try new things now. We're innovative.
Trial and error is the new corporate strategy.
Hello and welcome to the EGN Podcast. I'm your host, Efe von Thenen. Joining me in today's episode is Marilyn Repp, a retail expert with years of experience, especially at HDE, German Retail Association, and the Future of Shopping podcast. Marilyn and I will cover how brands can successfully integrate entertainment into their customer journeys. Get ready for insights on influencer marketing and the disruptive news with TikTok Shop coming to Europe. Let's go. Hi, Marilyn. Welcome to our studio in Berlin. How are you doing today?
Efe, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel great.
Well, the pleasure is ours. We've been in contact for quite some time, and I've been following your posts with lots of enthusiasm, and it was also a great pleasure having you as part of one of my panels. And I'm very happy that it worked out and that you made it here today. Today we're going to talk about quite a bit of stuff. So, but before we get into some focus on e-commerce, I want to get to know you a little bit better today. Just use the chance, and maybe you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Efe. So I'm Marilyn. I'm dealing with digital transformation within mainly small and medium enterprises for quite a couple of years already, and I deep dived into the retail industry like 5 or 6 years ago. And since then, I've been working for the German Retail Association, Handelsverband, and did many projects for digital transformation, technologies, but also innovation for the industry. And for 4 years already, I have my own podcast called Zukunft des Einkaufens. So I know that kind of situation pretty well, but on the other side, actually. Mainly I'm the interviewer most of the time. But I have.
It's a great podcast, by the way.
Thank
I'm
you.
a very enthusiastic listener. Also, at that point, I want to say hi to Frank Rehme, who's doing that with you.
My co-host.
He's a great guy, and
Very cool.
I think you guys are doing a great job there.
Thank you so much. So, I'm dealing with innovation, trends, technologies for basically the stationary retail industry within this podcast, Zukunft des Einkaufens.
Yeah.
And we built up a cool showroom 1 year ago in Berlin at Potsdamer Platz, which is called Retail Garage. And we showcase or we show different technologies for mainly stationary retailers. And we just try to push the industry to the future to deal with innovation, with new business models, with technologies, digitization. And that's actually something I'm dealing a lot with in the last couple of years. And I'm also a speaker and an author talking a lot about innovation. I'm really trying to push the industry all the time, sometimes a little critical too, of course, since you have to make interesting content. So I'm a speaker and an author. And I always have phases with new technologies or new stuff that really amazes me. Like 2 years ago, I was dealing a lot with blockchain technology, with Web3, and what the metaverse especially means for the industry. And at that time, as you all know, it was a big hype. Now the hype is not there anymore. You have AI as in hype right now. But at the moment, I'm dealing a lot with another technology, TikTok and TikTok Shop. and also the topic of community building and social commerce. So I always have my phases too. And at the moment, I'm dealing with that topic. But what really amazes me within my business life is like the shift of power. Right?
Yeah.
The shift of power that is possible through new technologies. And that's something that blockchain technology and also TikTok as a platform has in common,
Yeah.
which I found out. This is the shift of power from central institutions to the customers or private people. Yeah, power to the people.
I'm very excited also to talk about, our podcast concentrates on e-commerce topics above all else, but I know that you've been very close to omni-channel retailers, and you've mentioned the project Retail Garage, for example, where you also have observed and witnessed the development of these technologies on the ground and how they hit the surface, if they do at all, and how these big brands are utilizing it to stay alive in the retail space, or maybe they're not able to do so. So I want to touch upon that at a later stage. And also quite interesting to see your journey. 2 years ago, I guess blockchain and all these technologies were quite new and still quite interesting. And now I feel like they didn't go away. It's just like the buzz or the focus of many countries, companies have shifted to the rather new topics, right? So let's maybe start with your observation about the general market condition that we see in Germany, because having worked at German Retail Association, you've been very close to these. As people know, HDE does this barometer study and all kinds of other studies so that you keep the pulse of retail in Germany. So how do you see the market situation as it is today?
I think the customer sentiment right now is increasing a little bit. It's getting better right now. But overall, since I'm leaving the association in a couple of weeks too, I think the physical retail industry is in big trouble. We all know that. And they have to start new approaches, new business models, new ideas, because the customer behaviors are changing a lot. And they will change even more in the next couple of years when young generations or young target groups like Gen Z are gaining more and more importance, because their customer behavior is even different than the ones millennials have. And they have more and more consumer power in future. So I think the changes that we saw in the last couple of years, they will even grow faster in future. And this is a hard time for the stationary retail industry. We all know that. We see a lot of bankruptcies in the last couple of years. And they have to change, and they know it, but it's a hard time. If you have a look at big companies, it's always they're having that innovator's dilemma, right? They're always having a hard time to really change, but they have to. And they have to adapt new technologies, because today innovation is mainly driven by technologies. As you see younger generations and their customer behavior, this is also changed by technology. And you have to adapt to new technologies, what's upcoming. And I think the easiest way to handle that is just to trial and error. And I think trial and error is the new corporate strategy in future.
That's a nice statement, actually, that we see that everywhere too. And the ones that went bankrupt are starting this tsunami of worrying waves. Like we're all watching this happen as we speak, and sometimes we are even asking ourselves, is there any hope for the inner cities? As what are these brands gonna do? Maybe it is going to inevitably have a huge impact and a negative impact on these companies, and we're going to shift more heavily on the e-commerce side of things, where we see only pop-up stores, if at all, dominate the scene. but I think like you've also seen big mistakes probably being made, right? So can you give us some examples from the retail space that you are allowed to name them, but you don't have to?
I am allowed to say anything. Yeah. So well, there's so many examples, so many stories that happened in the last couple of years and also in the last couple of months this year. So we saw some weeks ago, we saw Depot and the bankruptcy of Depot. You might know them. They're mainly a stationary DNA. They're selling interior accessories and so on, like cups like that and so on for your apartments and so on. And so they are bankrupt right now, and that's why I wanted to have a look at their TikTok account.
But
right?
why are they bankrupt in the first place?
Well, I think it really has to do something with TEMU. Because TEMU hit up and really, it's a disruption in my eyes. It's a disruption, and they're overtaking Amazon right now. In 2025, they're going to be bigger than Amazon in the world, and it's just a disruption. It's going so fast. And what are they selling right now? Mainly like small consumer goods, small cheap stuff, right? Yeah. And they're also paying for their market shares, right? They're paying on every parcel for 25 euros, I read, and just to get the market share. But so I think when it comes to Depot's assortment, there is they have like many products like TEMU offers, and I think for Depot this was really a bad thing, TEMU showing up at the space. So people go to TEMU and buy like the products they would have bought at Depot and at the stationery stores. So I think this was really a breaking point for Depot.
So price conscious. Shoppers
also. Maybe it was a surprise, but still, like the world is changing faster and faster and turning faster and faster. You have new channels, you have new target groups, you have new assortment. It's all going faster and faster. So the only answer and reply to this change is to try out all the time projects of new channels, new assortments, new ideas, being creative. And not to have, not to be afraid of the future or to be afraid of making mistakes. That's the worst thing you can do. And I think this is something Depot didn't do. They stayed at their business model to sell stationery stuff in their stationery stores. And so I had a look, as I said, I'm really interested in TikTok as a platform right now because there is something big upcoming that I consider as a disruption. Maybe next year in Germany, the TikTok shop will be launched. So I had a look at the TikTok account of Depot, and this was funny because I saw something that I really share all the time with the retailers. Stop selling products. I mean, this is crazy to tell merchants to stop selling products. But what I mean is to stop stop doing the marketing or stop to do marketing for selling products, right? You have to start storytelling. You have to start to be entertaining, to embrace your customers and to really entertain them. And even TikTok is an entertainment platform. It's not a platform to basically sell products and to present products. Maybe you can do that at a second step, but at the first step, you have to create a community around an entertaining subject. And this is not something Depot did, so I had a look at their account. So they were basically presenting products every day. Yeah. They were making reels about their products. So how exciting do you find reels about products? I don't know. It's not really,
I think the mind blocks out a lot of content when you perceive it to be advertisement. Like you see something and you're like, I just want to scroll further.
You have to have a connection with the product. If it fits to the community and to the needs of the community, it's going to be cool. If you have a look at surveys targeting younger people like Gen Z or so, they really expect their content creators to present products. They want that.
Yeah.
They expect that from them, but not too much, and also in an entertaining way. And they're looking for trust and hold. In a world that is just like overwhelming with information and to-dos and things all the time, we're all looking for trust all the time, and this is why we're gathering in communities like on social media, and we want to have entertaining storytelling, and then besides maybe some cool products, and then they buy it. This is happening a lot at the moment.
I think it's also interesting that some of us forget that we are in e-commerce and we like to consider ourselves as experts, but then we are also consumers. So even I myself notice the way I shop for things is shifting, like changing every single day or every month, And do you notice some patterns with your shopping behavior? Like, do you notice? I know that you're also a parent, maybe in something that. There's a lot of mental load that comes with being a parent. I know that from my own experience, like always shopping. And in many cases, I'm with my cell phone. I have like pretty much 1.5 minutes to buy the next shoe size or something. So like I notice my experience is like I need things without much hassle, like convenience and like and frictionless checkout, and all these things are super important for me. Whereas in the past, maybe I had more time. Even I was sitting at my computer or something and just comparing things. Now I'm like, just give it to me, like get it done. Do you notice some differences in your own behavior?
So that's exactly what I'm facing too. But if there's a difference. If you have children, you need a lot of stuff because they're growing, and you just need more like pants and everything all the time because they're just growing so fastly. But if I wouldn't have children, I wouldn't buy so much anymore. I think the time is changing. We all have everything in our apartments. We have just so many things, and I think we don't need that much anymore. And it has to be convenient, but still for brands, e-commerce companies, platforms, and also retailers, they have to start thinking in an more inspirational way, to inspire, to give an idea of what your apartment could look like, of how you could look like, with new pants or new stuff or so on. And, just to inspire and to start that consumption, because right now e-commerce is based on like the search bar, right? It always gives you the entry point that you need to know what you want to buy. And I think this will change in future. It will be much more, the entry point will be much more on inspiration and on entertainment. And if the TikTok shop comes to Germany next year, you'll see that shift in consumption behavior, I think, because new technologies also shape consumption behaviors, right? And platforms that are used heavily, like TikTok for younger generation, those platforms shape how you consume too.
Yeah. Two things I want to get back to. One thing that you said, we pretty much have everything. I totally agree with you. I'm 38 years old at the time of this recording, so I do have the feeling that I'm consuming much less because I have acquired a lot of the things I need. But I think for the younger generation, this might not apply because they still need stuff. They have other hobbies, for example. So one thing that's interesting, we had TikTok in the podcast, and at the time of the recording, I think Sarah mentioned from TikTok that the average age is increasing on TikTok. It was at the time of the recording 26 years old on average, and like they are aiming to get towards 30 because they have lots of purchasing power. And then you have also mentioned that TikTok Shop is going to be a disruption.
Yeah.
But it was actually scheduled to happen during this summer, and then they postponed it. Can you tell us why this happened?
Well, you will never know exactly why they did so, because the communication from these Chinese companies is very low. If you compare it to Temu or Shein, they're all having the same strategy to not communicate too much on their strategies. It's pretty much different to European or Western countries. They don't talk too much about their strategies. And but as you can see, they're facing many struggles in the US, like from the regulatory side, and also from the EU Commission. They're facing many problems and troubles. So I think that's basically the point they need to tackle with these kind of regulatory problems. But TikTok announced they're gonna start the TikTok shop in Ireland and in Spain in October this year, 2024, and they're gonna start like experimenting in Europe from then on. And a thing that I really love about that subject is that, you know, as I said, power shift is going on. And you can see, well, I had a look. TikTok Shop is also live in the United Kingdom for 3 years already, and also in the US for around about 1 year. And if you have a look at the consumption behavior or what's happening, the processes behind the shop, it's really interesting to see that most of the purchases, like within the assortment on TikTok shops, is being made via the content creators, right? So like the processes are changing. You don't have to do much marketing anymore. You just have to have the right products in your portfolio, and then content creators will find the fitting product to their communities. Yeah. And this is a crazy thing to happen. So what you need to do is like get closer to the communities, to the content creators, to the customer at the end, and to understand them more, to be with them on a level. If you want to sell in future, you have to be on one level with your customers. And like the power is also shifting from the retailers or the platforms or the companies to the people again. And this is really interesting. How can you target that? How can you make social listening? How can you come up with new ideas, new products? For example, I have to tell you one story, which is really a cool example. Like, did you hear about the Deichmann Paw Patrol sneakers?
No, not yet.
It's such a cool story.
My son
really
would love that, probably.
Oh yeah. Children love Paw Patrol, but not only children. Like our children are the age of, but also the Gen Zers. They grew up with Paw Patrol, and these are the heroes of their childhood, and they really love the brand. And so Deichmann really has a very cool TikTok account there. It's really engaging. It's really self-ironic and hilarious. It's really fun to watch. And they asked the community, what do you want? And the community said, we want Paw Patrol adult sneakers. Because there only used to be Paw Patrol sneakers for children. And they were like, we want them for adults too. So what Deichmann did, they immediately started producing Paw Patrol adult sneakers, like limited edition, only 1,000 pieces, I guess. And guess what happened? Like 10 minutes and everything was sold out.
Wow.
So that's a very good example of social listening and also customer how do you say? Customer related products. What's the expression?
Customer-driven, maybe?
Yeah, customer-driven products or customer user-generated content and user-generated products. This is also something that companies should deal with in future. Customer-generated products. Embrace your community and get them into the product making process.
Yeah, we had even my muesli in the podcast, and they said they had the exact example, and they were telling us the story how my muesli even started. Like they were actually just packing everything by hand in the warehouse. It's a very really cool story how they started. Very like very much just authentic and like with their own hands, bare hands of doing this stuff. And then they said like, hey, we asked the community what kind of music they want to consume, and then we just kept giving them what they need, And then you mentioned this notion of community a couple of times. I think this also explains why influencers are successful, because they engage with their community. They ask them, hey, what do you like? What is, like, they have surveys, they have questions that get answered, and they react to those questions. By nature, it's more interactive, right? So in comparison to the traditional e-commerce giant that just sells
messages, yeah.
So I think that's disruptive also, and Gen Z just grew up with this.
That's
right?
true.
So we call ourselves digital natives, but they're just like, this is another level with them. They pretty much have been born into digital commerce, And that's
and they were born with the idea that their voice counts in this world, and that there is user-generated content, and they want user-generated products, and they want to talk to their brands on the same level, right? The same eye level, yeah. And I have another example that I'm coming up with.
Yes.
I told you about before, For Bro, which is really such a cool, engaging, interactive community. For Bro,
they're here in Berlin, right?
No, I think they're somewhere in North Rhine-Westphalia. I forgot it's a small town where they are coming from, and
I remember that you were telling me about this story.
I told you on stage, the example for it's so funny and it's so cool and
who are they,
very entertaining. So it's a brand. They're actually selling iced tea and energy drinks, but also crisps, and they're coming up with new ideas and new products right from the community. They keep asking them, what do you want? And just to say, the background is like the community consists of very young teenagers with a migrant background. So they call each other the bros. And a bro can be female or male, but they are the bros. It's a really engaged, really cool, close community. And then they also start like challenges, like gaming challenges. You can gamble and game against others from the community or against employees, and then you can win some things and so on. So a very engaging community. They're selling drinks, they're selling crisps, but also they started to sell SIM cards because they asked the community, what do you want? And SIM cards, yeah. They asked the community, what do you need? And then they came up with a new flavor. They were asking the community, what kind of new iced tea flavor do you want? And then the community said, we want Bubats, which is, that was actually before marijuana was legalized in Germany. So Bubats is, familiar language for marijuana.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, let's make Bubats iced tea. And I mean, there's no marijuana in it, but they just found it so funny that there's Bubats iced tea now, and this just went viral in social media. And this is what every brand is wishing for, a product that's like immediately going viral through your community. You don't have to pay for any merchant marketing just because the product is so cool and people love it. And this is, these are good examples like Deichmann did with the Paw Patrol's sneakers, or For Bro is doing that all the time. They're like having pranks all the time at their TikTok accounts. They're making surveys about their products on the street. It's really fun to watch. I think if you want to start all over with a TikTok account, you have to make it like a TV show or something. And there's another cool example you might know. Do you know Ever?
Ever?
Like the Ever, yeah.
No.
The backpack brand from Germany.
Rings a bell.
They're
definitely.
really hyped within the marketing community. They were like on the big stage at OMR and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And what they did was they're selling actually backpacks and other stuff you need like for your bicycles or something.
Yeah.
So they started their TikTok account, and they just made some kind of a TV show with main characters. So there's the main character Belinda. She's proposed to be the intern or something. She's like maybe 22 years old, and she they're just making a show out of it. It's storytelling all the time. They're making pranks. She tries to push her boss from stage and tries to get the spot on stage, like at OMR and so on. They're just storytelling. And if you have a look at the account, you will never, ever find a backpack there. No backpack at the TikTok account from ever. And it's really, really successful. And they're selling their backpacks, but not via TikTok.
I feel this is so interesting because Nike has been doing this for years already. You know, like they never promote, they promote an experience, you know, like the lifestyle, running and all these other things that come with it. And now I have the feeling that it's radiating to the masses. Like there are so many companies that started doing that, where they're building a community also in the e-commerce space. Like if you love to go skiing, chances are that you're interested in the whole activity and you want to share your experience with other people. There are some after-work skiing events organized by some e-commerce player. You know, it's just where, and they even get more granular and they say after-work skiing event for women. You know what I mean? So probably those people have similar challenges. You know, like you build a community, and then it at some point, in my opinion, it becomes almost inevitable that where you socialize is also where you buy. If you're missing a helmet, you would go to them, or if you want a new board, that you would still go there. It's because it's just self-clear. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've been observing as well.
I think you're also touching a very important point that is around new business models. Yeah. I think we're coming from a world where you have been, I don't know, a radio moderator or a merchant or, I don't know, a host within gastronomy. But now things are mixing up and merging. Yeah. And I think it's very important to be successful in future. You have to be very flexible and open for new business models. Yeah. That's what I keep telling the retailers all the time. Stop selling products is the first thing. Yeah. And also stop thinking you have to be a merchant for all the times. You can also be a podcast host. You can also be an event host. You can also start services that's being pushed enormously from the regulatory side right now. We're going to have the right to repair in future. So sellers, but also retailers have to deal with the point of repairing their stuff again. And you need to start services around that. Or building communities. That can be a service point or a new business model too. Cooperations. Stop, thinking within your boundaries and open your mind to new ideas, to new business models, and just start to try out. This is what I keep telling them, because it's going to be really hard to compete with big companies like TEMU, Shein, and so on. And what they do is they sell products, and this is like their main and core thing, and they can do that well. So you need to be more creative on what you're offering.
I've been watching quite a bit of content, or like consuming quite a bit of content analyses on TEMU as well. And one thing that strikes me is they not only do a good job with the price, let's say. Like if you're price sensitive, you would have a tendency to buy from them. That's for one. The second thing is that also the shift in availability, like how fast do you need the product is shifting. A couple of years ago, we were talking about, hey, we need like next day delivery, and almost everyone was like concentrating on this. Nowadays, it's like it takes 3 to 5 days, and people are like, whatever, they're
even
fine.
14 days, right?
Yeah, they seem to be fine with that, and that's one thing that I'm observing. And the second thing is like they do incredible, and the whole business model is different, than the Zalando and the others. It's a factory to consumer. They're removing some steps along the way, and also they're prototyping and testing, right? So they are testing a product where they have 100, 200, 300 samples. And then if that scales, and they're able to just shift their manufacturing very fast and just give thousands and tens of thousands of the same product, if it works. But they have low barriers of like risk, and And the last thing, in my opinion, is like they're really excelling on personalization. Like you have your experience. This has to do with data protection laws as well, I think, to an extent. And you have an experience on their platform, and then you get like really crafted recommendations from them, you know. And in comparison to Amazon, you get personalized emails. Where on Amazon you still have a personalized journey, but you get personalized emails. Hey, you looked at this. You want to take a look at this product instead, and that seems to be very disruptive, at least from my perspective. What do you think about that?
Highly individualized content via AI, and also highly individualized products, because what TEMU and all the other platforms are doing is they're having a look at the current trends in social media, and they will they will offer immediately what's trending on social media, even if it's not even manufactured, right? Yeah. Even if it's not really produced at the moment, they can sell it. And this is something that many retailers and physical retailers didn't get, because, you know, this is just disruptive. We didn't have that before. You're selling stuff that wasn't even produced. So this is a speed that's almost impossible to embrace and to share for physical stores or more traditional retailers. So what I think they should focus on is more experience-based and good inspiration. Good experiences also in the physical stores, and embrace new technologies and start to try out new technologies. The other day, I talked to a big grocery food retailer from Germany. We all know it, and so they wanted to talk to me about virtual reality and augmented reality. I dealt a lot with the metaverse and so on. What does that mean for the retail industry? What kind of use cases are relevant, and what's new, what's upcoming, and what do customers want and need? So I talked to the person, and he was like, we're examining and trying to make some research for virtual reality and how we could use it in our B2B businesses and for businesses loyalty and so on. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool thing. Did you try it out? And he was like, oh no, I didn't have the chance. And he asked
I read about it.
Yeah, he read a lot about it, and I was talking a lot about what I researched in the last couple of years, what kind of use cases I saw, where I think the trends is going. And he asked me for other experts to talk about. And then like 6 weeks later, we talked again, and I was like, oh yeah, did you try out Apple Vision Pro? It was launched at that time, it was launched in July. And he was like, no, I didn't have the chance. And I told him,
he's probably like, I was sick for 4 weeks, and then I was on holiday for 8 weeks, so I didn't get a chance to get to that.
Now, this is actually a mindset thing within big companies. We first have to examine and talk about, the processes are just too long and too heavy. And this is something we have to change. It has to be more faster. It has to be faster, and to be closer at the customers and what they want and what they need, and just try it out. Get the glasses, try it out, and just have a look if it works for you. I mean, it's much more expensive to send these people to make research papers, to talk to experts. I mean, this takes just so much time. It's expensive. Time is expensive for these companies. And why don't you just buy the glasses and just make a pilot project and make a case and try it out? Yeah. And this is really something I keep trying to tell everyone. And when it comes to technologies, the basic thing is to try them out and to see what it brings to your business case, or what kind of new and fun ideas you can come up with.
I'm inspired now.
Another thing I really would like to share about that case was he was asking me which kind of advantages could you see with virtual reality glasses for the B2B relations. And I was talking blah, blah, it could be blah, blah. But it could also be fun for your customers to just try it out. And it
Yeah.
could be like an advantage for you to tell them, yeah, we're trying out new technologies. You can, if you work together with us, you can try out the Apple Vision Pro, and we're working with that. We're like at the highest level of technology right now. And he was like, yeah, I didn't examine that. It could also be fun for our employees. Just, embracing fun within your working life. Why not? Just, have the entertainment component coming to your companies too, to have employee loyalty and B2B loyalty. Just, embrace fun. Why not?
Yeah. And I think it's just experimenting with new things. Just like, doesn't have to be the next big thing always. It's just also the barrier is so low that you can just buy an Apple Vision Pro and test it out. It just costs a couple of €1,000, especially at a caliber of, like, you were just talking about the biggest retailer, like in the grocery space, one of the biggest. It's just for these companies, it's also nothing, and just test it out. Maybe it generates some buzz among the employees. Hey, we're trying out new things. It does something with you. It does something with your mentality that, hey, we don't have to stick with the old ways. We try new things now. We're innovative. Like establishing this idea that we are allowed to innovate here in this store.
And we must not be afraid of what's upcoming and coming. We can embrace the speed of change.
Yeah.
That's really a cool message I want to give to the retailers. Just try it out. Trial and error is the new corporate strategy.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a perfect way to end this episode together. I've really enjoyed this, and I even have some concrete ideas that I will pitch to you after this conversation.
I'm curious.
So I think it's many big brands in the retail space could definitely profit from this mentality, like trying things out, and as you said perfectly, just really don't be afraid of the future, what it brings, and just embrace it. That's a perfect way to end this. Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Efe, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the EGN Podcast. If you found our discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us grow and improve our content. See you next time.